It's kind of cool that there's finally a biopic which happened during my lifetime. This happened in the last 5 years. Yes, there's all the 9/11 films, which are fine, but I was 9 when that happened. I don't have a huge reaction to it just in my memory. This I remember sitting in front of the TV and witnessing these miners being rescued. It's kind of cool. Hello once again, watchers of good movies. My name is Nick Pell and this is once again coming from my apartment. Now today we're going to be talking about the film The 33. No, this is not about The 100 from CW. This is about 33 Chilean, I think that's how I say it, miners who were stuck in a cave-in in Chile, and they had to survive for, I think, like 2 months worth of time until they got finally rescued. And this is their story. Antonio Banderas is the star of this film. He has been in a number of different things. Nothing terribly popular recently, so this is the first thing I've seen him in probably since Spy Kids, to my knowledge at least. And he does really well in the role. We see him as this guy named Mario. He's kind of the leader of this group of miners who are trapped underground. He is essentially the reason that they end up surviving. He rations the food, he keeps them from fighting. He is the keeper of the peace in this movie, and he does it just really, really well. And it's really interesting just to see how these people survive, because like I said in the intro, I remember witnessing at least the rescue part. I don't know if I was aware that there were miners trapped underground, but I remember watching on TV as these guys just got pulled up from the ground one by one, and it was a really cool thing to witness. And so just seeing kind of what went on in the background, both with the government being involved and just what these miners ended up going through as well, it was just a really cool thing to kind of see and put some of the pieces in place. Now granted, I don't know how fictionalized this is. All this stuff could have been completely fictionalized and not true whatsoever. But I like to think that there's got to be a good chunk of legitimacy to actually what happened down in that mine compared to what happened and what is shown in this film. Easily my favorite part of the film though is the whole collapse sequence, because it happens probably at like 15-20 minutes into the movie. I'm glad that that did not take forever to get to. It happens within the first 15-20 minutes of the movie, and we get the miners trapped underground very, very quickly. The collapse itself looks fantastic, and if I didn't know that this was based on a true story and that no one actually got killed, to my knowledge at least, in this cave-in, I would say that that's really unrealistic, that nobody got killed in this cave-in. But nobody got killed in that cave-in, so screw logic, I guess. Yeah, the collapse itself, it just looked fantastic. It was the most tension-filled part of the film, probably, just seeing these huge, massive rocks just collapsing and almost killing these guys over and over again. It was a very cool sequence to watch. I did feel like there was a little bit too much focus on the family aspect of this film as well, because we see the film from basically 3 different viewpoints. We see it from the miners, we see it from the government, and we see it from the families. And I felt just like there was a little bit too much focus on the families. We didn't really need to touch base on all their stories and some of the main players in that whole business. They could have been just background and maybe shown for a scene or two, but it kind of took away from the film and was probably one of the more boring sections of it. I didn't really care about, well, okay, yes, these families, they're going through a tough time. It's kind of a given. I want to see what's happening with the miners and what the government and the drillers are doing to kind of just fix this whole thing. It could have shortened the film a little bit more if they'd taken some of those parts out. I also like, once the world was kind of aware of this whole situation, that they used actual media footage. Like, they used stuff from CNN, from BBC, just these major TV networks from around the world, and they used actual footage and then inputted footage from the film in replace of the footage that they would have used of the actual scene happening. And so I thought that was kind of a really cool thing, and especially just this day and age. Oh, hey, I recognize that channel, I recognize that stuff. You don't really see that often in like films based on the 70s and 80s. You have films like Get On Up and Straight Outta Compton, which have these networks which, yes, showed footage, but I didn't really know people from that time period, obviously. I wasn't born yet. And so just seeing these current people that were doing stuff 5 years ago, more realistic and more relatable for me. I also felt that the film kind of dragged just a little bit in the middle there. We have the miners trapped and see their initial reaction to the whole event and then eventually trying to get them out of the mine. I felt just that middle section just kind of dragged on a little bit, and I did find myself a little bit bored during that section. The majority of the film I found myself pretty entertained and captivated by. I also like that, as this is a biopic, I always want to see, oh hey, what happened after the events of this film? It shows us that, and I was very happy to see that. We also get to see all the actual miners who were involved in this catastrophe, and that's a really cool thing that the film was able to do as well. It kind of reminded me of the ending to Schindler's List, in a sense, if I'm remembering that correctly, where they showed a bunch of survivors from Schindler's events in that film. And so yeah, it was kind of a cool thing to see. Generally, the 33, I found myself enjoying it. It's not going to blow away every single audience member that goes to see it, but I found myself fairly entertained by it. I found myself enjoying it, probably mainly because it happened within my lifetime and I remember these things happening, so it had a little bit more interest from me. But the film is not incredibly fast paced. It does kind of move at a slow crawl at times after the cave-in starts happening, so there is a little bit that might bore some audience members, but I found myself enjoying it for the most part. But those are just my thoughts, guys. Let me know yours in the comments down below. Did you like the film as much as I did? Did you hate it more than I did? Let me know. Like, favorite, comment, and subscribe. Once again, if you so choose, I appreciate it immensely. And as always, younger people, my name is Nick Pell. And once again, keep on watching.